Hello, today we're going to talk about 2 ways to make your videos more cinematic. In this video, I'm going to show you 2 ways to make your videos more cinematic. If this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome along. You might want to subscribe to my channel, and if you already subscribed, welcome back. So let's get into this. So the first one I'm going to talk about is actual camera movement. This might be obvious to some, but the way you move your camera can make a massive difference in how your video looks, making it a bit more cinematic. When you're filming your subject, you want to think about how you want to move your camera. For example, if I was holding the camera looking at the waterfall, I could just record holding it straight and just record the waterfall, and that's it, no movement of the camera. Now, if I actually give the camera a slight left to right pan, it will actually make the footage a lot more interesting and a lot more dynamic. So if I show you 2 clips of me just recording the waterfall and also recording a bit more movement. Now, I think you got to remember as well is that when you're using the camera and moving it left to right, you want to try and keep that as steady as possible. Now, a way to help you with this is if you film in 100, 120 frames per second, or I guess 60 if that's all you got in your camera. If you film in that way in post, you can slow that down, and it does really it really gets rid of some of the camera wobble, so nice and smooth. So just look at these 2 clips and I'll speak you through it. Here we go. So the first clip, I'm just going to stay steady, and this is the footage we get, just a nice waterfall. And in the second clip, I'm going to move my body from left to right, and also you can move it right to left just to give you a bit something different. So if you just try and do that movement, you end up with some footage that looks a bit more dynamic. Also notice that I've slowed down the footage. This is just to give you guys an example of what it will look like. And if you remember what I said before, once you slow down your footage, it does cut out those camera wobbles. And another thing I just want to talk about with the movement of the camera, I know some people, I have seen people doing this, when they're actually filming, when I move left to right or right to left or even up and down, people will just move or swing the camera around like this. Rather than staying on the same position, moving it left or right, up and down, whatever you fancy, it makes your video look a lot more professional and definitely more cinematic. So again, I'll give you some example clips of what I'm talking about. In the first clip, I'm going to over-exaggerate what I was talking about before. I'm going to move the camera from left to right and right to left, not really thinking about what I'm doing, and it just doesn't really give you anything cinematic or anything that looks any good, to be honest. In the second clip, I'll show you a better technique how to move your camera from the left to the right. You want to put your weight on your right leg if you're moving left to right, or on your left leg if you're moving right to left. And then you want to move all your weight from your right leg or your left leg to the other leg. So you get a nice smooth transition, one leg to the other. And then from this, you get a nice steady clip of it going from right to left or left to right. It just makes your videos look a lot more cinematic to me anyway. I want to talk about up and down movement as well, which I talked about panning the camera left and right. So I guess if someone wanted to follow something up or reveal a shot, I've seen people just move the camera up and down, not really thinking about what you're doing with the camera. In this clip, I'm going to move the camera up and down, and you can see that it doesn't look great. Getting a clip like this that looks okay, but it doesn't look very cinematic, doesn't look very professional. In the next clip, I'm going to crouch down and stand up and try and keep the camera as smooth as possible, and then you get a nice clip that looks like this. In this clip, I've actually done something slightly different. So I put something in the foreground to emphasize the sense of movement. I've basically focused on the stream in the background, and then I've just come behind the foreground just to show the stream. Now that just makes it a lot more cinematic. I'm doing an up and down movement, but instead of just walking up to a stream and just doing up and down, I've actually gone behind something and come behind it just to give it that nice reveal. So when you're thinking about doing these movements, you want to think about what can I use to emphasize the movement. So I'll show you the clip again. You come behind and you reveal the stream. It just makes it a lot more cinematic and it also adds a bit of drama as well to our footage. So I think that covers number one. Number two is linked to the first one, I guess, is actual camera position. Now, I've talked about movement, which is left, right, left, up and down, or any movement of the camera. The second one I want to talk about is actual position of the camera. Now, when I talk about position of the camera, a lot of people just shoot at eye level and think that's interesting, but you've got to think outside the box. Now, you got to remember that people see things at eye level all the time. So if people see that on a video, it's not really that interesting. The way to actually do that is think of different point of views, i.e. hold the camera near the floor or hold it quite high up. Here I'll show you a clip of me just recording at eye level. Well, I'm slightly crouched down, but it's more or less eye level. So I've just moved left to right over the stream, and it's quite interesting. I come behind the tree, you know, the tree branches. It's quite interesting. Still looks quite cinematic, but to make it even better, I'm going to get right to the water level and then move my camera along the foreground again to emphasize movement. And you'll see in the video that it just makes it a lot more cinematic and just adds a bit more drama to the video. For example, I've come behind the tree in the first clip, just below eye level, and in the second clip I've gone as far as I can to the ground, come behind the same tree and revealed the subject. And again, I think you'll notice the massive difference from the first clip to the second clip. So let's have a look. In the first clip, I'm just below eye level and I'm moving my camera from right to left, coming behind the tree and just revealing the subject. Now the footage is good, it still looks cinematic, but I think we can make it better. In the second clip, I'm going to do exactly the same to the first, but I'm going to take my camera down to the ground and just bring my camera from right to left, behind the tree, revealing the subject. First, I just want to talk about my technique, how I've moved the camera from right to left. I've put all my weight on my right leg and I'm shifting my weight over to my left leg as I move right to left. Just gives you that smooth transition from right to left or left to right. And also remember, like I said to you before, if you record in 60, 100 or 120 frames per second, you can slow down that post just to get rid of those camera wobbles. Now when you see the second clip, you'll notice it definitely looks more cinematic, it adds a lot more drama, and it just looks a lot more professional. Now I've spoken about both of those techniques, which is the camera movement and also the camera position. I'm just going to show you a few clips and just implement what I've just been talking about and just show how it makes your footage more cinematic.
When I saw you in the moonlight, I just held my breath. And it goes with a little time. Give our memories grace. We were choosing opportunity over wrong and right. Was a target worth the vanity? Was it worth the sacrifice?
Those clips are all done with the same techniques that I've been talking about. So if you put a little practice to it, you'll definitely make your footage more cinematic. Anyway, that wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned a couple of things today. There are just 2 ways I thought you can make your footage more cinematic. And remember, when you're taking your camera out next time, just remember those 2 techniques and hopefully your footage is looking a lot more cinematic. So guys, if you did enjoy the video, give it a massive thumbs up, much appreciated. And you can also leave me some comments of any new videos you'd like me to make. And as always, you can subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one.